Talk a little bit more about the president's open mic comments. For that, we turn to Michael Tanner, senior fellow at the Cato Institute. He heads its research into a variety of domestic policies, and Michael is in our Washington newsroom this afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you.
So we shared some of the brief, spirited comments from President Obama last night. I just want to get your immediate reaction.
Well, I don't think those comments are going to do much harm. There was a campaign event. It was campaign comments. I think much more damage to the atmosphere was done at his speech the day before when he invited Paul Ryan and Dave Camp to sit in the front row and then proceeded to denounce them as sort of deeply troubled people who want to destroy America and see senior citizens eating cat food. That's not exactly the spirit of compromise.
Well, whether it was Paul Ryan sitting in the front row or whether it would be the comments last night, it seems to be a dramatic shift in posturing. Would you say that is correct?
Well, the president's clearly trying to rally his base. This is a 2012 campaign season for him right now. Democrats recognize that one of the big problems they had in 2010 was an intensity gap, that Republicans were very excited and Democrats weren't. So the president's out there trying now to whip up Democrats, get them excited, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Unfortunately, that makes it very difficult to get policy done.
So that intensity gap, you're saying we're going to see a more intense administration, a more intense President Obama, and you just touched on it. What does that do to policy for the next year and a half?
Well, the closer you get to an election, the harder it is to get anything done. And frankly, we're dealing with some very big issues, and we're dealing with two very distinct visions of government. Barack Obama basically wants to see a bigger government that does more but is paid for. And Paul Ryan and the Republicans are talking about a smaller government that does less and has lower taxes. I think that that's not something that's easily reconcilable. That's why we have campaigns and elections, and that's what 2012 is really going to be about.
Okay, so it gets tougher to get policy passed over the next year and a half through the robust election campaign season. What now happens to the debate about the debt ceiling?
Well, that's going to be a tough one because the Republicans are going to demand a certain amount of pound of flesh in exchange for raising the debt ceiling. They will raise it in the end, the same way they've ultimately agreed to keep the government open. The big question is going to be on the 2012 budget, I think, in October, whether or not something's going to pass there or whether or not we're going to see the same sort of government shutdown threats and continuing resolutions probably going through much of next year.
Michael Tanner, senior fellow at the Cato Institute this Friday afternoon. Michael, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Anytime. Same to you.
Okay.